Good morning, and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Larry. I recently turned 72, and honestly, birthdays hit different at this age. Today, I want to talk about some of the uncomfortable realities that come with getting older. Some changes happened slowly over the years, some I expected, and a few of them caught me completely off guard. Aging has a way of teaching you things you never planned to learn. One thing that's really changed at 72 is my patience. Funny enough, I used to be impatient with situations but very patient with people. Now it's almost the complete opposite. These days I'm a lot more patient with little problems. My hands don't work the way they used to because of arthritis, so when something takes longer, I just slow down. I'm not rushing anywhere anymore. But people test my patience a whole lot faster now. When someone is being careless, rude, or just painfully unaware, I don't argue anymore. I simply walk away. At this stage in life, peace matters more than proving a point. I don't have the energy to deal with unnecessary nonsense the way I once did. And maybe that sounds harsh, but getting older changes what you're willing to tolerate. You become protective of your time, and even more protective of your mental peace. Another thing I've noticed recently is how much longer recovery takes now. For those of you who are new here, I had cataract surgery on both eyes not too long ago. That meant I had to stay out of the gym for an entire month, and honestly, that was hard for me. I've always been a gym guy. Working out has been part of my routine, part of my identity for years. Suddenly sitting still every day felt strange, almost uncomfortable. When I finally went back to the gym, I promised myself I'd take it easy, and I did. I lowered the weight, cut back the reps, reduced the volume. Pretty much everything. But there was one thing I still paid close attention to: my hamstrings. They've always been weak, even back when I was a college athlete, so I've always had to stretch them carefully and keep them strong. At 72, you start realizing your body remembers every year you've lived through. So there I was on the leg curl machine, talking to a buddy sitting next to me. We got carried away in conversation, and without really thinking about it, I ended up doing way more sets than I planned. At the time, it didn't feel too bad, but later that night, man, I could barely walk. My hamstrings locked up so badly I could hardly move around the house, and what used to take maybe a day to recover from took me almost 3 full days. That's one of the hardest parts about getting older. Your body just doesn't bounce back the way it used to. I had a cold recently too. Back in the day, I'd shake off a cold in a couple of days and move on with life. This one stayed with me nearly a week. Even after I felt better, the cough just lingered there, hanging around like it owned the place. Soft sigh recovery becomes slower, and eventually you realize this is just part of aging now. Another thing that really hit me recently is understanding that some health changes are permanent. Permanent, that word means something different when you're younger. When we were young, we'd get hurt, get sick, heal up, and life would go right back to normal. But at this age, back to normal doesn't always happen anymore. Some things improve a little, but they never fully leave, and learning to accept that takes a different kind of strength. My arthritis is one of those things. It's not going away. A few years ago, I dealt with rheumatoid arthritis, and it definitely left some damage behind. But honestly, as a self-employed contractor most of my life, I always expected my hands, knees, and back to pay the price someday. So in a strange way, I'm grateful things still work as well as they do. Same knees, same hips, same hands. They may ache now, but they're still mine. My wife went through something similar after a car accident a few years ago. Thankfully, she wasn't driving fast, and get this, the accident happened in a parking lot literally 100 feet from the emergency entrance of a hospital. You can't make that stuff up. She was driving a Subaru, and every single airbag deployed. The crash damaged her hearing badly. One ear was already struggling before that, but afterward, she needed hearing aids permanently. And that's another difficult truth about getting older. Some things don't come back. Some losses become part of everyday life. You adjust, you adapt, you keep moving forward the best you can, but deep down you also realize there are certain versions of yourself, certain abilities, that quietly disappear over time. That realization stays with you. Here's something that kind of sneaks up on you as you get older. Your energy can still be there, but your stamina quietly starts fading away, and that surprised me. I still have enough energy to go to the gym regularly. I follow a very structured workout routine. Everything is timed out: rest between sets, reps, heart rate, all of it. The whole workout usually takes me about an hour, maybe an hour and 20 minutes, and honestly, I still do pretty well with it. I can get my heart rate up, let it recover, then push again. Because of that, I've managed to stay pretty active even at 72. I've actually made some decent progress physically, but here's the strange part. Ask me to walk 2 miles, even on flat ground, and suddenly it feels completely different. I can do it, sure, but I really don't want to. It drains me in a way lifting weights doesn't. My body just feels worn down afterward. So now Have to think ahead more than I used to. If I know there's going to be a lot of walking somewhere, I plan for it mentally before I even leave the house. That's another reality of aging nobody really warns you about. Your body starts picking and choosing where it wants to spend energy, and sometimes the simplest things become the most exhausting. Not painful exactly, just taxing in a way that's hard to explain unless you've lived it. And then there's the short-term memory thing. That one has definitely crept into my life lately. I walked into the living room this morning and suddenly stopped because I couldn't remember why I went in there in the first place. I stood there looking around like an idiot for a few seconds, then finally remembered what I was looking for. I know most people laugh about moments like that, but when it starts happening more often, you notice it. One thing that's helped me though is I stopped multitasking. I don't try to juggle 5 things at once anymore. I do one thing, finish it completely, then move on to the next thing. That alone has reduced a lot of those forgetful moments. Now sure, I still forget the occasional thing I plan to do afterward, but at least I'm not walking in circles around the house wondering why I opened the refrigerator 3 different times. Back when I owned my drywall and painting business, I used to joke that every painter working for me had short-term memory problems. Maybe it was the years of hard living, maybe something else. Light chuckle, I'd give a guy 3 simple tasks and tell him, "Come see me when you're done." 10 minutes later, he'd come back after finishing only one thing. I'd ask, "You're done already?" And he'd look at me like he genuinely forgot there were 2 more things to do. So eventually I changed the way I handled things at work. Instead of giving somebody 3 tasks at once, I'd give them one thing to do, just one. Then when they finished that, they'd come back and I'd give them the next thing. Honestly, somewhere along the way I realized I needed to start doing the same thing in my own life too. One task at a time, one focus at a time, and surprisingly, it's helped me more than I expected. I remember watching my wife and my mother-in-law go back and forth sometimes over the smallest things, nothing serious, nothing angry, just little pointless arguments that would last 5 or 10 minutes. And standing there, I'd think to myself, this conversation means absolutely nothing in the bigger picture. But looking back now, I understand it differently. My mother-in-law's memory was fading by then, and my wife was starting to notice little slips too. Aging changes conversations. Another difficult reality at this stage of life is losing friends, and that one hurts more than people realize. Sometimes you lose them because they pass away. Sometimes illness changes everything. Sometimes people move away, or life simply pulls you in different directions until one day you realize you haven't talked in months, maybe years. I think that's just part of getting older. Your circle slowly becomes smaller, quieter, and a little more fragile every year. I've been trying really hard to hold on to the friendships that still matter, because honestly, I truly believe if you have 5 or 6 real friends, people you can call when life falls apart, then you're doing better than most people. We all have acquaintances. Social media gives us thousands of names, likes, and quick conversations, but true friendship, soft pause, that's rare. Real friends become more valuable the older you get, because there are fewer of them left. Something else I noticed recently happened after my cataract surgery. Before the surgery, driving at night had become difficult. I could still see, but everything looked blurry and fuzzy, especially lights. I figured once the cataracts were removed, all of that would disappear completely, and to be fair, the surgery helped a lot. The blurriness improved, the fuzziness mostly disappeared, but there's still something different now, especially when it's dark and raining outside. I don't see the way I used to. That's just the truth. So I do what a lot of people our age eventually learn to do. I slow down, I leave earlier, I drive more carefully, I stop trying to rush through life like every second is an emergency. Honestly, I'm not in much of a hurry anymore anyway, but some changes become permanent reminders that time moves forward whether we're ready for it or not, and that's the hard part. Realizing some of these things are never going to improve, you stop waiting for things to go back to normal because deep down, you know they probably won't. One thing that really hurts my pride is not being able to do repairs around the house anymore. I spent most of my life working with my hands. I was a contractor. I learned a lot of skills over the years. Some of them made me money. Some were just useful things you pick up through life. But now, even simple jobs around the house can wear me out. I've had to start paying people to do things I once handled without a second thought. Thankfully, I've got a good neighbor, really good guy. Whenever the snow gets too heavy, he comes over and clears the driveway for us without even being asked sometimes. And honestly, that kind of kindness means more to me now than it ever would have when I was younger and fully capable myself. About 12 or 13 years ago, I put a brand new roof on this house mostly by myself. 2-story house too. I walked all over that roof without fear, climbed right near the edges, carried materials up and down. No problem at all. But this past fall, I needed gutter guards installed, and there was no way I was climbing up there anymore, so I hired somebody to do it, and you know what? I'm glad I did, because some changes are permanent. Another thing that's become obvious to me is I just can't keep up with technology anymore. I can still learn new things if I really want to. I'm capable of it, but truthfully, a lot of the time I just don't care enough to learn it now. It doesn't improve my life the way it used to. About 10 years ago, I got my real estate license because I wanted to sell some rental properties myself and save money on commissions, so I learned everything online. At first, all the online systems drove me crazy, but after a couple of years, I finally got comfortable with it. I could do everything quickly, no problem. And then right when I finally learned it all, they changed the entire system. Suddenly I had to relearn everything from scratch again. That was the moment I realized my patience for constantly adapting to technology was fading. My brain just doesn't process new systems the way it once did. Here's another reality that's hard to explain unless you've experienced it yourself, even at 6'7". Sometimes I feel invisible now. People just don't notice you the same way anymore. Sometimes strangers overlook you. Sometimes friends drift away. Sometimes even family gets busy living their own lives, and slowly, you fade into the background a little. Aging usually doesn't happen all at once. It happens quietly, inch by inch, year by year, until one day you suddenly notice the difference. And honestly, those are some of the harsh realities I've experienced turning 72. I sure wish it was 62 instead, but life keeps moving whether we like it or not, so all we can really do is keep adjusting, keep learning, and keep pushing forward the best we can. If any part of this connected with you, I'd appreciate you sticking around, liking the video, maybe subscribing. Until next time, I'm still pressing forward toward the goal.